Good morning children. This is class 10th, subject English, chapter 10, the sermon at Benares, and this is my lecture 1. This chapter is taken from First Flight book. This is our 10th chapter, the sermon at Benares. Let us read the topics that today we are going to cover in this lecture. First of all, introduction of this chapter, the sermon at Benares, written by Betty Renshaw. After that, we shall read about the main characters of this chapter, and then overview of the chapter. So let us begin with introduction of the chapter. Let us read its introduction. The sermon at Benares throws light upon the early life of Lord Buddha, who was originally born as a prince in the royal family. On being exposed to the sufferings of the world, which he was earlier shielded from, he left his princehood and went in search of salvation, thus leaving all the worldly pleasures behind. So, this chapter is about Lord Buddha, about the early life of Lord Buddha. And the author has presented an account of the journey of Gautam Buddha. Upon attaining spiritual awakening, he gave his first sermon in the city of Benares, hereby making a lady named Kisa Gautami realize that men are mortal and a wise person should not grieve at what is bound to happen, for it only enhances pain and suffering. So in this chapter, while on hunting, Buddha saw 4 sights which changed his life, and here one story is explained, story of Kisa Gautami, and Gautam Buddha made her realize that men are mortal, we all are mortal, and a wise person should not grieve at what is bound to happen, for it only enhances pain and suffering. It only enhances pain. Now, let us read about the characters. Buddha. Gautam Buddha is the founder of the Buddhist religion. He was a spiritual teacher who had gained enlightenment after seeing the world's pains and greed. So this is the main character of this chapter, Gautam Buddha. Now let us read next. Next is Kisa Gautami. She was a young mother whose only son had died. She was a loving and caring mother, but at the same time she became selfish and wanted to get her son back after death. So this is about Kisa Gautami, the second main character of this chapter. So after introduction of the chapter and the main characters, let us read the overview of this chapter heading wise. So let us start. First heading, it is early life of Buddha. Gautam Buddha was born as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in northern India. At 12, he was sent for schooling in Hindu sacred scriptures. 4 years later, he returned home and got married to a princess. They had a son. They lived a royal life for 10 years. So Siddharth Gautama was a prince of North India. When he was 12 years old, he was sent away for schooling, and after 4 years he was married to a princess, and even he was blessed with a son, and they lived their royal life for 10 years. So after 10 years, what happened? Let us read. Next heading, it is moved by the sufferings of the world. He was protected, means Gautam Buddha was protected from the sufferings of the world. One day he saw a sick man, an old man, a funeral procession, and a monk begging for money and food. This moved Buddha, and he then went out to seek enlightenment. So he was protected, means Gautama was actually living royal life, but he was moved by the sufferings of the world while on hunting, and he saw a sick man, an aged man, a funeral procession, and a monk begging for alms. So these sights moved him. Next heading, it is Gautama seeks enlightenment. Enlightenment means high spiritual knowledge. So he travelled aimlessly for 7 years, and then he stayed under a peepal tree until he attained enlightenment. After 7 days, he got enlightened and renamed the tree as Bodhi tree, means tree of wisdom. There he began to teach and share his knowledge and became known as Buddha. So he was so much moved by these sufferings that he saw an aged man, sick man, funeral procession, etc. That he went out in the world to seek enlightenment. After wandering for 7 years, he sat under a peepal tree and stayed there until he got enlightened. And he got enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And he shared his teachings and knowledge among the people. Now he was known as the Buddha, and he preached his first sermon in Benares on the bank of the river Ganges. Now let us move ahead. Next heading, it is his first sermon that was given by him at Benares. Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares. It is the holiest of the dipping places on the river Ganges. This sermon reflects Buddha's wisdom about the kind of suffering that is impossible to interpret. Next heading is the story of Kisa Gautami. Kisa Gautami had only one son. She carried her dead son in her arms, and she went door to door asking for medicines for her dead child. The neighbors pitied her but could not help her as her son was dead. They were as helpless as Kisa and couldn't go against the will of God. Finally, somebody suggested that she should go to the Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Kisa Gautami went to meet Gautam Buddha. So this is the story of Kisa Gautami. Kisa Gautami had only one son and he died. After his death, she took her son to her neighbors and asked them for medicine that could cure him. Although they told her that the boy was dead, even then she did not believe and she did not adhere to. So now she went to Gautam Buddha and Gautam Buddha told her to bring a handful of mustard seeds from a house where death has never knocked at the door. Kisa thought that it was a very easy task. So she went to all the houses in the village but couldn't find a single house where death had not taken a beloved away. So she sat down, she became hopeless and tired. She soon realized that she was being very selfish in her grief. So then she came to know that death is common to all. So here we have read that Kisa Gautami went to the Buddha and told him to give medicine to cure her son. The Buddha told her to bring a handful of mustard seed, but the seed must be taken from a house where no one had lost a child, husband, parent or friend. So she went from house to house but didn't get such house where no one had died. Earlier she thought that the task was very easy, but later on she became hopeless when she did not find such house. Then she realized that she became very selfish in her grief and death is common to all, means everyone has to die one day. Now let us read next heading. It is Buddha's spirituality. So the life of mortals is troubled, brief and combined with pain. It is not possible to avoid death, as the ripe fruits are in danger of falling, as the earthen vessels made by the potter break. Similarly, the mortals have the danger of death. Wise men and fools all fall in the power of death. So here Buddha has tried to make her understand that the life of all mortals is troubled. Brief means it is very short and it is filled with pain, and nobody can avoid death. And even he has given some examples like ripe fruits are always in the danger of falling. Earthen vessels are made to break. Similarly, mortals have the danger of death. No one can avoid death. And wise men and fools, they all fall in the power of death. Means whether the person is wise or fool, everyone has to die. So the Buddha told that the life of mortal in this world is troubled and painful. Nobody can deny death. All are subject to death, whether they are young or adult, fool or wise. Only the wise do not grieve and they accept the reality. All weeping and grieving will bring more pain and sufferings to the body. One who is composed will obtain peace of mind and will be free from sorrow and be blessed. So the Buddha told that this world is affected with death and decay. The wise people know the terms of this world, so they do not grieve on the death of anyone. We cannot obtain the peace of mind by weeping or by grieving. Those who have become composed will obtain peace of mind. So we also understand this thing. that we can obtain the peace of mind not by weeping or by grieving. So, this is all about the sermon at Benares. So, in this chapter, we have read about Gautama and Kisa Gautami. Now, let us read the word meaning of this chapter. Let us read the word meanings. First word is sacred. It means pious. Scriptures, the sacred writings of a religion. Befitted means be appropriate. Royalty, it means people of royal blood or status. Heretofore means before now. Shielded, it means protected from a danger. Sufferings means the state of undergoing pain. Hunting, the activity or sport of killing wild animals. Alms, it means money or food given to poor people. Next is enlightenment. It means a state of high spiritual knowledge. Now let us next words with meanings. Now next word, it is awakened, means enlightened. Here it means enlightened. Preached, it means deliver a sermon or religious address to a group of people. Sermon means a talk on a religious or moral subject. Next word is holy. It means connected to God or religion. The next word is wisdom. It means good sense or judgment. And the last word is inscrutable. It means impossible to understand or interpret. So these are the word meanings of this chapter. Now let us read your homework. Homework is to read the chapter thoroughly and find out the answers of textual questions. So these questions are, I am going to read these questions. So answer the following questions. First question is, when her son dies, Kisa Gautami goes from house to house. What does she ask for? Does she get it? Why not? Here the author is asking about first time. Then second question, Kisa Gautami again goes from house to house after she speaks with the Buddha. What does she ask for and does she get it? Why not? Third question, who was Gautam Buddha and when and where was he born? Next question, why was Kisa Gautami sad and what did she do in her hour of grief? Last question, what did Kisa Gautami learn in the end? So these are the questions, total 5 questions which you are supposed to answer. You have to read the chapter and find out the answers of given questions and then send it to me on my email address. Thank you.